Tips du Jour mailbag question comes to us all the way from Colorado. Colorado, that's where I'm at. Robert, I'm having trouble bending the cutaway side on my guitar. Can you offer any advice? Chris in Colorado. Chris, yes, I can offer some advice. Do a Florentine. That's the pointed one. And if I have a really ornery set of wood or high dollar set of wood, I usually try and talk the customer into the pointed one, which is a lot easier to pull off than the rounded one, which is the Venetian. Now, I assume since you're having so much trouble that you're probably doing the Venetian. I've done it just about any way you can think of. When I do my cutaways, I usually use the old style LMI bender, which had the cutaway attachment. I could do that cutaway arm and crank it down in the cutaway section, or do it by hand. Now, I'm not sure what you are using as far as your equipment, so I'll just go ahead and show you how to do it by hand. So let's do it. All right, Chris, there's a little bit of prep work to do. First of all, you have to have your side. I've thicknessed it in the lower bout. This is the lower bout and the waist. I've thicknessed it to what you normally would do for your side. In this case, it's about 2.1 millimeters. And then in the cutaway area, what I've done is thicknessed it down to about 1.6, 1.7 millimeters. Now, how do you know where to mark this? What I've done is I've taken a piece of tape. Here's my form. Take the form, put the masking tape in it, mark your waist, mark where the cutaway begins, the middle of the cutaway, and the end, and then mark it down here at the end as well. Place that onto your form or onto your side. You can also use your masking tape to make a more permanent template if you want. And I've marked my waist, beginning of the cutaway, middle of the cutaway, and then the upper cutaway here, and then on out. So there you go. Now, there's also some other things you can do. I've used the spritzing technique where you just get it lightly moist with water. I've also soaked it, and I've also used veneer softeners. And I've broken sides with all of those, and I've had success with all of those techniques. So pick your poison. On this one, I think I'm just going to lightly spritz it, and we'll go to work. So here we go, Chris. I've got my markings on here. I've lightly spritzed this area, and because I'm not as tough as people like to think I am, I'm going to use some gloves so I don't toast my hands. Also, generally on the inside of the bend, you don't have to worry about it, but definitely the outside, you want to put something in there to keep from scorching it. What I usually use is just a wet paper towel. Place it on there so you don't scorch the wood. Notice I have my form here so I can test it. And just put it on here and just start rocking it. You want it to get hot. So if you rock it like this, it begins to get hot. And don't bend it before it wants to do it. Also, don't get any twisting going on. Once it gets hot, then it starts to just relax. And then you can come in and just apply light pressure. And away it goes. Now, if you're religious, a few Hail Marys help. If you're a betting person, then place your bets. Because nature is nature. Sometimes it does just whatever it wants to do. No matter how hard you try and bend it, it just does not want to do it. So this one seems to be cooperating so far. Good. I usually overbend it slightly because when I pull it off of here, it's going to want to spring back just a little bit. And there we go. I think that looks pretty good. So here we go with this part of the cutaway. Once again, just rock it back and forth. Let it start to get hot. Once it starts to get hot, go ahead and apply a little bit of pressure. I'm going to double check it, make sure I'm right in the right area. Yep, looking good. Make sure that the entire side is making contact with your form or with your iron. I find that the longer you take to do this, the more brittle the piece can get. So go ahead and just get it done. Let's go ahead and check it on our form here. Notice how I've slightly overbent it again. And look at that. Shoot, life is good. So here's the cutaway section in the form. Look at that. I think that will work just fine. Now, I usually start with the cutaway portion because no sense doing the rest of it if you aren't successful with the cutaway, right, guys? So as long as we're at this here, Chris, I might as well go ahead and show you how to bend the rest of it. So the radius on my form here at the waist is not quite as tight as the radius on my iron here. So here's how you get around that. Start just by rocking it. Notice I've got my paper towel on here because I don't want to scorch the outside. It can be seen. I'm not too worried about the inside. So once it starts to relax, I'll go ahead and start bending it a little bit. And because the radius is not quite as pronounced, I'll turn it this way a little bit and then push in that direction to open up the radius. And then I'll go this way and push in that direction to open up the radius. And once again, I try and overbend it slightly due to spring back issues. And then just let it relax right into where I want it. So there we go. And then it relaxes right back to where I want it. Looking real good. So once you get the waist and the cutaway area where you want, then it's time to do the lower bout. Now the lower bout, I'm going to use the side of the iron and I'm just going to rub it like this. You've got your form here on the table, so you can kind of keep an eye on where the most pronounced part is. This is just kind of flat in this area, but here is where the bend starts. If you keep it moving like this, you have a tendency not to get any little flat areas in there. So just keep removing. There we go. And then once you put it down into the form, it should clamp up real nicely. Right like that. So there's one other piece of advice I can give you that will help you achieve these results. No matter what you do, I've always had success, I've always had failure, but I've found that good, clean living increases your odds. You know, like driving the speed limit while you're around town running errands, paying your taxes on time, maybe even go to church every Sunday. That will certainly help you get these results.